It's interesting to look back at life, at the directions it goes, at the decisions we make, consciously and unconsciously, sometimes self-destructive choices that hurt other people. Having arrived at a place where I feel at home with myself, I see on different levels and in different ways how through the years fears often defined me, how I was afraid that I was flawed or broken, an imposter, afraid of failure, of success, afraid if someone truly knew me they couldn't or wouldn't love me, too often doing things to show them why they shouldn't love me. As I've said before, our family has a history of mental illness going back 100 years, as well as a history of keeping that history unspoken, shameful, and a secret going back nearly a century as well. For a long time, I believed those things somehow made me different, made me other. When I got to a place where I was no longer afraid of my fears, after I'd found and faced and freed many of them, I began to realize that most of us have our fears, that they can often be, whether we're aware of it or not, fears about ourselves and who we believe we truly are. And that many of us grow up in families where there's something shameful and unsaid. When we can break the silence and shake the shame, it's possible to make those parts of ourselves simply part of our story. We can begin to define those parts of ourselves instead of being defined by them. We can live with our fears instead of in them. And when we can do that, we have a chance to be home with ourselves, with our story, with those around us, and with the world of which, like it or not, we are all a part of. That's what this next song, Fears Don't Scare Me Like They Used to, from Gratitude, Grit, and Grace, is about. As the chorus says, fears don't scare me like they used to. Once I found what fears are most afraid of. They hate being faced, exposed, and embraced by truth, light, and love. When I hear all we gotta fear is fear itself, think of all of those times I was afraid of myself. Didn't know why I was feeling the way that I felt, dealing how I was dealing with the cards I was dealt. Then one day I found both a will and a way. Started looking at those fears, began giving them names. The more that I knew them, the less I was afraid. And the power to haunt me simply was not the same. My fears don't scare me like they used to. Once I found what fears are most afraid of. You see, they hate being faced, exposed, or embraced by truth, light, and love. Fears scare me most when they hide in the dark, when I know that they're out there but don't know what they are. To meet them and love them, that can be awfully hard, but to shine a light on them is a very good start. It's something to learn how to live with my fears, not simply living in them like I've done all those years. When what I'm afraid of becomes plated and clear, the power that haunts me appears to disappear. Fears don't scare me like they used to. Once I found what fears I'm most afraid of. You see, they hate being faced, scare me like they used to. Once I found what fears I'm most afraid of. You see, they hate being faced exposed.